ladies and gentlemen, it's another Behind the Blurb. Now, who do we have? This is a milestone because we have our first TV2 board member, the Productions Manager, and literally the beating heart of the Blurb, let alone TV2 as a whole, Jenn Lomman.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a hot minute now. I've been around. I've been in TV2 for a very, very long time. So.
Yeah, it's fair to say that if you were out, basically there would be nothing. You literally have Thanos. You literally have like Thanos level control over production, and just one snap means just bam,
gone. Infinity
bam,
gauntlet.
Yeah, like black, gone. just like black lights. Kent Wide right now would just be negative space.
I do have the power to take broadcasting away. So one click of a button and it's gone. So
yeah. So since you have that authority of being production manager, I wanted to ask, what's your favorite part about being productions manager? And what made you want to become production manager?
Well, I have been doing this since, oh goodness, what's the time frame? This is my third semester now, so I did it since last spring. I have been doing production since fall of 2021, believe it or not. And I started out just like basic level stuff, like doing floor crew, audio, CG, that kind of stuff. And it just kind of naturally happened when people started to leave. I kind of like stepped up in some ranks and I did some more. I learned how to direct. I learned how to technical direct and then direct. And I worked with Ben Sloan actually as assistant operations manager back when it was called ops manager. And then whenever he left, I was like, well, I want to apply for the job. I want to see what I can do to help make this place better than it already is, and just kind of like further the ideas that he already had kind of in mind and see what could happen. A lot of my friends were also applying for the board, so I was like, well, I want to apply for the board and see what I can do. I've been in this long enough. I feel like I know what I'm doing. So that's why I started in the first place. And I've been here, obviously, ever since. I think my favorite thing about it, though, is quite literally the people that I get to work with. The normal aspects of the job, like scheduling or doing other things, those are just kind of monotonous every time you do them. But throughout the 3 semesters that I've been doing this, the amount of people that I've seen come in that are absolutely insane, what they're able to do is actually quite incredible. I have met people from all different majors that I never would have met otherwise, and I really appreciate everyone's efforts and the amount of creativity and just energy they bring to the room. I think being able to bring people together to make a collaborative team on something creative like TV2, especially entertainment shows and things like that, is really special to see, because there's a spark in the room that you don't quite get all the time with like other things. So I think it's cool that I'm able to put those people on that team and kind of match them up, and then make it a cohesive effort. Knowing that I did that is really cool about the job.
Knowing that you're basically like there and being that much of a support and people are relying on you that much must feel like it must feel important. It must feel nice.
I feel like I'm always
have a good sense of responsibility.
Yeah.
Know how to manage stuff well, and like you've experienced when stuff goes down and you're able to like build the team back up.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
So I guess while we're on the subject of like building up the team and stuff like that, I know one way that you like to build up the blurb before we go on show is the mic checks. So across all of TV2 as a whole, I guess it doesn't even have to just be the blurb. What's your favorite mic check that you've done and like the answers that you've received for it? Because I know you like to ask questions.
Yeah. Even when I'm not even running the position, I like to ask questions. I think, especially now, I'm just like, well, I think it's important to know who you're working with, especially crew and talent-wise. So recently I've been asking a bunch of dumb questions. I think the favorite one that I've asked, though, I asked yesterday, I think it was on the news. I had someone ask what was their opinion on the Oxford comma.
Yep, and I had a bit of a tangent on that one.
Because I think of like stupid things throughout the day, and I'm just like, this is going to make someone smile in the room. I think it's going to be funny. I think that's a runner-up for me. And the other one that I did the other day, I think it was earlier in the week, was what's your favorite texture? Because that's not something you think about regularly.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I want to make people... because people don't like doing mic checks as it is. They think it's awkward and weird. I was like, well, let me just
Yeah.
make it easy on you, and let me just ask you a really dumb question, and you can just chat about your answer. I want to know. So,
like for instance, I ended up answering the Starbucks tumbler cup.
mm-hmm.
Like they're kind of like rainbowish looking one that has like those like little spikes.
I like the spikes
on
ones.
them. And then there's also the and then for the Oxford comma, I just said, why the hell even call it an Oxford comma? Like all it is just a comma before the and when you're listing off stuff. What makes that comma so special?
I don't understand the problem with having it in certain types of writing, because I was talking to someone about this, how in certain types of writing, I have like MLA, APA, like the formats, you can use them in some and you can't use them in others. And that doesn't make any sense to me. It's a comma. Why aren't you allowed to use it wherever?
And apparently for journalism as a whole, they just forbid Oxford commas.
Yeah, it's a whole situation. And I was like, I don't like that. I think Oxford commas are cool. But
I mean, here's the thing. In my humble opinion, I think there's really no need to label them as Oxford commas. They look the exact same as commas. Like, you're labeled before the and. Congratulations. Do you want a cookie? Like, seriously. But, so I guess moving on from that, we talked about before airing. Let's talk about on air. So, on the blurb, what's your favorite moment that you've experienced?
I'm not gonna lie, I really think it's stuff I've done this semester. I've only been on the blurb twice, like on-air presence. And I wish I would have done it sooner, so I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do it now. I genuinely think hosting the blind dating show was probably the best thing for me. Because there are so many moments on the blurb too, and after a while I'm just like, I can't remember which one's which, because I've been at I'm almost at every single entertainment show, like how many semesters now, all the bits kind of muddle together in my brain. But like in recent memory, that is a really fond one of mine. That was my big debut, technically, on air presence, which was really cool. I think that was really exciting to put together. I also really enjoyed doing the Trying to Laugh with you guys last semester too. I just kind of barged in on the video, I'm not gonna lie. I knocked on the door and I was like, what are you guys doing? And then I was just in it.
And I gave you like a little like Smash Brothers title card.
I did. I got a very cool title card. It was very exciting. I don't know. I think there have been a lot of strong bits the past couple semesters too. Really good discussions. The show has definitely grown a lot since I've been here in a very, very positive way. So I think most things from last semester and this semester are some of the strongest stuff that we've had, that I've seen. But my favorites are absolutely the ones where I get to work with people on the show, because they are some of the most talented people I've met too at this place. And a lot of creative energy in the room, and it's very inspiring to be around. So.
Oh, there you go. I mean, that's always fun too. Like, you know me, I'm pretty much on almost every entertainment show. But I think the blurb's moments are just really special. There's
something about the blurb too that's just like, it's very casual. It's not a lot of pressure. It's not a lot of, this has to be a certain way. There's a structure, but it's a loose structure, and things can change and things like that. Because I mean, I literally went to Jenica and I was like, I have this idea for this thing, and they were like, okay, do it. I said, okay, not even really on the show, but they were like, yeah, you had an idea, just go ahead and have fun. Not a big deal. And I was like, this is weird, okay. So it's a very welcoming environment, I will say. It makes it a lot easier to create the content that they do.
I agree.
100%.
I completely agree. One thing that, since you haven't been on air, the blurb audience wouldn't really know this, but we as blurb members know that you are a really big fan of One Direction, which, you know, obviously, you know, they're sparse and they all have, like, most of them have their solo careers, and stuff like that. But to put it like this way, if you were a member of One Direction, who would you be and why?
Okay, this is going to be a complex answer, and there's a reason for it. So, context. I've been following One Direction since they, like, first started out, too. Like, they did a bunch of X Factor video diaries. That was my stuff. Like, I watched it religiously. Like, it was a bad obsession as a child. Now it's a tame obsession, in the fact that they were my number one on Spotify Wrapped last year, and I don't know how. But we're not going to talk about it. But, yeah, they all have split off, and they've all done their separate solo careers. The ones that I've followed more closely are Harry and Niall. Those are the two that I kind of are my go-to people. Liam has had a weird time recently. He's had a lot going on. Not in a bad way. He's just going through a lot. I think, if I remember correctly, he had to go through rehab and everything. He was really badly on drugs. Like, there was a big situation he was going through. A lot better now. He's releasing new music soon, which is very cool.
Oh, that's nice.
Louis is on his own path making music, and his music's actually really good. I'm just not as big into it as Harry and Niall's stuff. If I had to be anyone, finally getting back to the answer, if I had to be any of them, I would be a mix of Harry and Niall. Reasons being, from what I've seen of Harry, the way he's portrayed and everything, the way he puts his persona on, he seems like a very calm person, a very relaxed person, but is also very productive at the same time. Like, he's able to do so much and create so much cool content and like all music and everything like that, and I really admire that about him, and I like his aesthetic that he goes for. And I want to be able to do that. I want to have that ability to be productive, but also know when to take a step back and know what's good and what's not. And I think he has a really fine balance of that. And he's also famous and big. I think it'd be cool to have that type of lifestyle for a little bit. Niall, though, he was kind of the underdog when he was in One Direction. He wasn't really the one people went to. Him and Louis were kind of the people that were in the background. They were like the background dancers, background singers for a lot of things. And he finally got his big debut, and he released his first album after One Direction. And he's the same way. He's like a dad, almost. He kind of acts like a dad. He dresses like a dad. He has like a weird style to him. And it's a really cool underdog story. I think him being able to come up from what he had is very interesting to see. And all the boys have gone through like their own trials and tribulations in their lives too, and I really admire what they're able to do. Granted, they've made some rough decisions. People are human, they make mistakes. But where they're at now, I think, is a really, really inspiring thing to see. Because you and I were talking earlier about Niall, about stuff, and how he's on tour now and he's doing all this stuff, and like, it's just, you didn't expect that for a while, and it's very cool to see the two of them grow into the people that they are, and be able to do what they're able to do.
Would you be upset if I said I only know like one Direction core song?
What song?
That's what makes you beautiful.
If it's the bass song, oh my gosh, no, there's so many.
I know there's so many.
There's like what, 4 or 5 different albums?
Yeah, I could use some education on that.
I think you should. I think you should start from the beginning and go through the whole, all of the music, every album, one by one, and then rank them.
All right, I'll be sure to do that.
I think you should do that. I think that'll give you the knowledge that you need. Educate yourself, Coleman.
I'll get right to it. But out of all the OG YouTubers that you or like were big back in the day that you grew up on, what would you say you would remember the most fondly?
See, this is a really good question. I used to watch a lot of people. Like, I was an avid YouTube kid. But I think my favorite one was Smosh. There was just something about Ian and Anthony that was really just like, granted, really bad, very controversial, but like, come on, look at them. They were sweet, they were nerdy little boys. I love them. They were absolutely wonderful. And the fact that Anthony left and then came back was a really cool trope to see, how they like were best friends and they're not best friends anymore. And then they came back and it was a whole thing, and now Anthony has tattoos and he's like really hot to look at and like everything. Like, it's just one of the best. Like, and all the new cast members are great. Even the people.
Hey, Jen.
Yeah.
Shut up!